With Finn Balor all of a sudden in the main event scene on Friday Night SmackDown amidst the heart of the build to Roman Reigns and John Cena in a blockbuster SummerSlam main event, I feel as though now is a pretty good time to make a video like this. Now, you've probably seen this same video topic done by a number of creators in the community. The general premise with those videos was that Finn Balor never got his rightful rematch. Finn Balor deserves better. Finn Balor should have had a long, lengthy Universal Championship reign because he was injured in 2016, so he should have come back and got a big title run. That's the general kind of premise you'll see and notice with videos like that. For me, I share a very different opinion. About a year ago, I tweeted what I'll be explaining to you guys in this video today. I don't expect pretty much any of you to remember this, some will, but in today's video I'm going to explain my honest opinion of how WWE should have used Finn Balor in 2016 and what WWE probably should have done to where Balor, for one, is wrestling guys his size, but two, can be a big focal point on the show and be a real, I guess, pioneer for change. So, with that said, let's just get into this. Now, as we know, WWE in 2016 brought back the Cruiserweight, I guess, division and Cruiserweight wrestling into WWE. We saw the Cruiserweight Classic, which went over pretty well as far as the audience it was targeting. Went over pretty well. I mean, you saw Ibushi in there, Zack Sabre Jr. was in there. Just a really good tournament of in-ring Cruiserweight wrestling, Cruiserweight action, what have you. That tournament was won by one TJ Perkins. Okay, so TJ Perkins won the Cruiserweight Classic. They made him the WWE Cruiserweight Champion in, August and September of 2016. Then WWE made the conscious decision to bring the Cruiserweights onto the main roster, the Cruiserweights onto Monday Night Raw. So that's what they did there. Meanwhile, let's just backtrack a couple months. WWE does a draft. Okay, WWE, they figure that the whole, everyone on one show thing has run its course. They do a draft. Now, this draft, they do a couple of big things. For one, they draft Finn Balor to Monday Night Raw. This is NXT champion, one of the biggest stars of NXT, Finn Balor, gets drafted to Raw. Cool. He's moving up in the world. He's gone to Raw. All good. That's totally fine. And then WWE make the conscious decision on July 25th, 2016 to have this guy who's had no main roster matches before win a fatal four-way match against a couple of established main roster stars. Cool. All good. Gets a win on debut. Awesome. And then in the main event of that same show, this Finn Balor guy defeats Roman Reigns. Yes, the Roman Reigns, the biggest star of the previous 2 years, the guy who single-handedly destroyed the Authority, the guy who had been, pretty much beat Brock Lesnar, had Brock Lesnar dead to rights at WrestleMania, all this kind of stuff. That Roman Reigns. Finn Balor beats him clean on his very first night, after beating several other stars early in the show in a four-way match. So, Balor wins that, and he punches his ticket to SummerSlam to take on Seth Rollins for the Universal Championship. We see Balor at SummerSlam, comes out in the Carnage paint, beats Seth Rollins. During the match, he has his shoulder, all messed up by Rollins from a barricade powerbomb. And with that, Finn Balor wins the Universal Championship. So in the space of a month on the main roster, Finn Balor had the rocket ship shoved to his rectum and just, sent into space, basically. He was now the Universal Champion, but as I mentioned there, shoulder all messed up. He had to, step away with the surgery. So that was the Finn Balor story. What I'm going to say in this video, and the point I'm trying to make with this whole WWE botched Finn Balor thing, WWE had a golden opportunity to bring Cruiserweight wrestling back to the fore in WWE, to make Cruiserweight wrestling genuinely relevant, genuinely entertaining, genuinely must-see. And with that, WWE messed it up. Okay, you had Finn Balor there, a guy who had a famed juniors career in New Japan Pro Wrestling, a guy who, in and of himself, is the optimal Cruiserweight, I guess, frame, build, weight, and a guy who has the look as far as the Carnage paint and just generally, you take that guy, and instead of making him the face, the pioneer, the leader of the Cruiserweight division, and maybe making Cruiserweight wrestling on the WWE main roster genuinely must-see, genuinely entertaining. Because don't get it twisted, Finn Balor's a star. Look at NXT. Okay, one of the things with this video that people are going to no doubt do is take this out of context and try and use this to demote the Cruiserweight division, okay? I see Finn Balor as a talent. I see him as a bona fide star. So what better way of using him, and what would have been a better way of using him in 2016 than having him be the face, the guy you build the Cruiserweight division around, okay? Instead of having Finn Balor show up, and within 3 hours of him being on the main roster, having beat 3 established main roster stars, and then in the main event beat Roman friggin' Reigns, instead of doing that, why not have Finn Balor be the Cruiserweight? Have him be the star. Who the hell's TJ Perkins? Who's Grand Metalik? Why was anyone supposed to care when those guys are the flag bearers of the Cruiserweight division? The division was bloody dead off rip. Okay, the Cruiserweight division, the peak for Cruiserweight division and Cruiserweight wrestling in WWE main roster was Enzo Amore dancing around with the title in like mid to late 2017. And a lot of people even hated that. But Vince McMahon knew the Cruiserweight division was dead because it was dead on arrival. TJ Perkins, Grand Metalik, the Brian Kendrick at like 39. Like, bruh, you're telling me you couldn't have had Finn Fergal Devitt Balor be the guy to lead that division? And God knows, maybe if Finn Balor was in that division, he wouldn't have separated his shoulder because he wouldn't be wrestling guys who are 30, 40, 60 pounds bigger than him. Who knows? Maybe he wouldn't have taken a barricade powerbomb spot. And maybe he would have been a pioneer. Maybe Finn Balor would have had a 2-year-long Cruiserweight title run, establish himself as the biggest Cruiserweight star on the planet, have amazing work rate classics with all these amazing talents. Maybe if Finn Balor was Cruiserweight champion, that would have attracted guys like Ibushi or guys like Zack Sabre Jr. to sign contracts and know that they'll have a spot on the WWE main roster and not just be buried and irrelevant. Who knows? There are endless possibilities. But let's look at what happened. As I said, Finn Balor shows up, beats 3 established main roster stars in a fatal 4-way match, defeats Roman friggin' Reigns on his first night, and then 3.5 weeks later, 4 weeks later, just casually beats the second biggest star of the past 5 years before that, Seth Rollins, casually beats him as well, and then what? Like, he just beat all these guys, like, okay. Like WWE went balls deep with Finn, having him beating all the established main event stars, instead of doing a more logical thing, like having him be the face of Cruiserweight wrestling. As I said, this guy was the face of the Super Juniors and the face of the Juniors in New Japan for several years. He was champion in New Japan as far as the Super Juniors for like 3 years, for the previous decade before. But no, take that guy, a juniors champion from Japan, shove a rocket up his backside, just give him the Universal Championship, make him the first ever world champion, having him beat all the WWE's biggest stars, and then what? What was the plan from there? Where do you possibly go with that? With Finn Balor, like, if he never got injured? I mean, people have done this timeline to death, but I mean, my God, there's just no long-term thinking. Instead, WWE killed their Cruiserweight division upon arrival. No one cared. You had TJ Perkins coming out there, full health, 10 HP. I'm going to have a good 10-minute match and win by submission. Like, what is this, dude? What is it? Way to make people not care about your Cruiserweights. So, that's my opinion on Finn Balor. WWE botched Finn Balor out of the jump. Having this guy be a guy beating every established main eventer. Like, what? Like, how about you build him up and have him be the face of the Cruiserweights? Then if he's successful with that, which he probably would have been, then maybe in 2018, you give him an opportunity. Let him win the Intercontinental title. Let him win some matches in the mid-card. Then you have him win the world title potentially in 2019 instead of Seth Rollins, because Seth Rollins, God knows he was terrible. So, there's an option. But no, WWE just empowered the wrong crowd with the Finn Balor stuff. They really did. So that's been the video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you did, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and drill.